lovely super scholars. So we are going to continue using the skills we were practicing last week of using our lovely language and math vocabulary to describe the relationship between numbers, how numbers are connected, how they're similar, how they're different. So we're going to continue building our math vocabulary skills using that great place value knowledge. So let's check out our learning target for Tuesday. It says, I can model more than or less than on my place value chart. So today in our learning target, we can see our new language. That's more than and less than. We were using less than last week, but this week we'll be using it in a slightly different way. And to start us off with our vocabulary, you are going to need your place value chart today. So make sure you have your place value chart with all your tools as well. Hundreds, tens, and ones, as we'll be using our vocabulary with our chart. So this is our goal today, second grade. So, as we mentioned, last week we were using our math vocabulary to describe those number relationships. So as a review from last week, we were using the term less than to say this number is less than that number, to describe that this first number in our sentence was smaller, so it was less than. In addition, we were using greater than to talk about numbers, saying this number is greater than that number, to indicate and show that we knew this first number was the bigger one, so it was greater than. And we had symbols as well that showed this exact same concept. So here in this language from last week, we were talking about relationships. Which number is bigger? Which one's smaller? But this week, we are using different language, saying more than and less than. These are the sentence frames we will be working with this week. When we're saying more than and less than, we're going to be describing the difference between numbers by ones, tens, and hundreds. So when numbers change by 1, 10, or 100, we're going to be using this language to express what we know. So either 1, 10, or 100 more than this number is that number. And then also with less than 1, 10, 100 less than this number is that number. So this sentence frame and how we talk about our numbers is going to show that we know the difference between our two numbers, whether they're different by 100, tens, or ones, and whether that's more than or less than. So let's talk about those specific words a little bit more. So second grade, when we're saying more than, that one more than this number is another, what we are doing is counting up. We've done this before. We're counting up and therefore getting a bigger value. So when we're changing numbers and we notice there's more than, it's because we counted up and we got a bigger value. As you can see here on our pictures, we've got an arrow pointing up for counting and a picture of some plants down here. You can see that with each plant as we go, the plants are more than the last one. They are getting bigger in value. They're growing. So when we're saying more than, it's because we counted up and we made a bigger value. But then if we do the opposite and we describe a relationship between numbers by saying less than, that means we counted down. We counted down and therefore got a smaller value. So with less than, that means we counted down and got a smaller value as a result. And we've got, of course, our arrow has switched directions. Now we're talking about less than, which means going down. And with these pencils, you can see, looking at each one, the pencils are getting smaller in value. Each pencil is less than the other. They're getting smaller. So more than and less than are another ways to talk about bigger and smaller values. So this is just a quick introduction of our new language. So now I need you to pull out your place value chart so we can start working with numbers and using this new vocabulary. So get out your place value chart. Okay, so you got your chart out and all your tools right lined up around you. Okay, so our first job is I need you to show the number 176. So second grade, let's all take our tools and show the number 176 on our place value chart. Okay, how many ones are we going to show? How many ones? 6 ones. Let's go ahead and do that. Can you add 6 ones? Whoops. Got 6 ones. And how many tens are we going to add? How many tens? 7. Let's go ahead and do that. 7 tens. I've got 5 and 2. Awesome. And how many hundreds? How many hundreds? 100. We're adding 100. Okay, so all together, we have 176 on our boards. So now that we have 176, I want you to take another 10 in your hand. Do you have another 10? Okay, so with 176, if we add that next 10, what number do we have? When you added a 10, what number do we have? We have 186. 186. So second grade, looking at 176 and 186, and also what we did on our board, what's the difference between these two numbers? What's the difference? The tens place. The tens place is the major difference. That's what we changed. We went from 7 tens to 8 tens. So now that we notice the difference and the relationship between these two numbers, we can describe it using our math vocabulary. And we can say this sentence. 10 more than 176 is 186. Because we knew that the difference was in the tens place. It was the tens place that changed. And also, to go from 7 tens to 8 tens, we created a bigger value. We counted up. And that's the more than part of our sentence. By counting up and getting a bigger value, we showed that 10 more than 176 is 186. So to continue explaining our thinking and talking about what happened when we did this, we could also say the tens place got bigger when I counted more. That's what was happening. Our tens place got bigger when we counted more. When we counted 10 more, the tens place was getting bigger. So we have all this awesome math language that we can use to talk about numbers. Noticing how numbers are different and exactly how and why they are different is so important. So we're going to really be practicing to talk about these differences today. Okay, second grade. So we're going to change it up a bit. Now that we have 186, can you take one of your counters? I've got a blue star. Can you take one of your eraser counters? And can you place it on your board? Can you place it on your board? So now, second grade, that we have added a 1, what number is on our board now? 180, 187. We now have 187 on our board. So I'm going to ask you this same question. I want you to notice what's different between 186 and 187. What was the difference that we just did? How did we change? The ones place changed. The ones place. We went from 6 ones to 7 ones. So to explain the difference between these two numbers, we can use our math vocabulary. So second grade, can you read this with me and describe the relationship between these numbers? Can you read with me? 1 more than 186 is 187. Can we read it one more time? 1 more than 186 is 187. So second grade, when we noticed that the ones place was changing, we made sure to indicate that in our sentence by 1. And when we went from 6 ones to 7 ones, we counted up. We were getting bigger value. Therefore, we counted 1 more than. And we showed that 1 more than 186 was 187 because we counted up and made a bigger value. And then second grade, to continue talking about how and why the statement is true, that 1 more than 186 is 187, we can continue to say the ones place got bigger when I counted more. Can you say this with me? Here we go. The ones place got bigger when I counted more. So this sentence is just putting into words exactly what we were saying when we expressed that 1 more than 186 is 187. This is explaining what you did to find out that was true. We showed that the ones place got bigger when I counted more, which is just what we did on our place value chart. So this skill of counting up and getting bigger values can be described by when we're saying more than. Numbers are more than another. So now that we've been practicing getting more, can you reset your entire board so we can figure out how we describe less than? So everybody reset. But before we switch to less, let's give ourselves a break for all our awesome work. So stand on those 2 feet with me, nice and straight, nice and wide. And I have a silly kind of question for you. So second grade, if you had to choose, which one of these would you rather drink? Tomato juice? If so, you're going to do twist for 5 seconds. Or pickle juice? If so, you're going to do squats for 5 seconds. You have to pick one. Tomato juice or pickle juice? What would you think? I think I'd go with tomato juice, so I'm going to do twist for 5 seconds. You got your pick? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. Move your body just a little bit more, and then come sit right back down and have that nice clean chart. Okay, now we're going to go from more to less. So can we show on our board 154? Can you show 154 on your board? Let's see. How many ones are we going to add? How many ones? 4 ones, exactly. Let's show 4 ones. And how many tens? How many tens? 5 tens. Let's show 5 tens. Awesome. And how many hundreds? How many hundreds? Just one again, just one. So on your board, ours should match, and we have 154. I want you to put your finger on just one. Just put your finger on one. Awesome. Now can you count it off the board? Can you put it off the board? We counted down, and what number do we have now? What number is this? 150. 153. Now we have the number 153. So second grade, here's my key question. Between 154 and 153, what is the difference? What changed? The ones place, of course. We went from 4 ones to 3 ones. And this time, second grade, we got a smaller value. We counted down. Therefore, we can describe the difference or relationship between these numbers by saying 1 less than 154 is 153. We noticed that the change was in the ones place, and we counted down. We got a smaller value. Therefore, the difference between these numbers is 1 less. Can you read this sentence with me? I want to hear you nice and loud. We can say 1 less than 154 is 153. Now when we say 1 less than 154 is 153, we of course want to keep going and describing how or because, which is when we could say, explaining why 154 is 1 less than 153, we can say, can everyone say it with me? The ones place got smaller when I counted less, which is what we did. We counted less, and therefore our ones place was getting smaller, which changed our number from 154 to 153. So when we're working with less, we're counting down, getting smaller values. So second grade, we are at 153. I want you to take a 10, just a 10, and count it off your board. Count down. Take away a 10. So now, what number do we have? 100. 143. 143. Here's the key question. Between 153 and 143, what's the difference? What changed? The tens place is what changed. The tens place. And second grade, did the tens place get bigger or did it get smaller? The tens place got smaller. So therefore, we can say 10 less than 153 is 143. We know that creating a smaller value is less than. And we notice the change in the tens place. So these numbers changed by 10 less. Can you read this sentence with me? All together. 10 less than 153 is 143. Okay, second grade. Thank you so much for talking with me and practicing this new math vocabulary. It's now going to be your job to show me in a video how you understand and can describe that relationship between numbers. So second grade, I want you to use your knowledge of place value to find 1 more than 314 is blank. So how do we show 1 more? Remember, more than means that we're counting up and we're getting a bigger value. Second, I want you to show me on your place value chart 10 less than 228 is blank. So this time, you're changing the tens place by less than. You're counting down and making a smaller value. So your job is to complete these two sentences showing me your awesome work on a place value chart. This sentence frame down below is to help you explain what you're doing and talk about your math knowledge. So this was the same sentence we were using in the video. The blank place, so the 1/10 place, did it get bigger or smaller when I counted more or less? So we have more or less in our sentences already. So you're trying to figure out, is the 1 or 10s place getting bigger or smaller? So this is another way in a sentence frame you can use to keep talking about your math skills. Okay, second grade. So these are the two numbers I would like you to show, more than or less than, and just a quick video for you to show me what you know. So second grade, thank you so much for being so awesome at math. I can't wait to see your skills. So here we go.